Friday night, which was June 4th, officers located a stolen, turn my radio off there for you, that'll help, a stolen black Yukon Denali on the west side of town, and began to look into that vehicle as it had matched some descriptions of some previously involved incidents that we've had with that darker SUV. Upon finding it, they did realize it was stolen. It ended up fleeing officers when they intended to stop it, and then fleeing through downtown, kind of over towards 14th Street. Officers, obviously, it was a busy weekend downtown, backed off, recognized some of the danger to that, and in the vehicle eluded officers and got away from them briefly. However, it was quickly picked up in the about the 3100 block of East 11th, where it was located and found to be unoccupied at that time. As the investigation was ongoing into that apartment complex, a Toyota RAV4 came in, which was also later found out to be stolen, and it was identified that some of the suspects were related to that previous vehicle, may have been in that car. Officers attempted to stop that vehicle. It was occupied by, we think, at least 2 people, and were attempting to make a stop, obviously with safety in mind. The occupants of that vehicle chose not to listen to those commands. Instead drove and rammed the squad car, pushing it back towards officers who had to retreat from the vehicle as it was getting hit. The vehicle then sped out of the parking lot and was able to be picked up with some assisting units or help from the Highway Patrol, and a pursuit again was initiated as it went up north of town and actually got out towards some of the gravel there, the water reclamation plant, 60th Street North, Monson area, where it then crashed into a field. Able to get a perimeter up with Highway Patrol, the use of our K9 units, and then we also deployed, I think it was noted on some of your news sources, a UAS or drone, but unmanned aircraft system to help search the fields and locate that area. Again, we can talk about that later, but use of that UAS or drone really enhances officer safety and allows us to see a lot of area that we can't see from the ground. And so that was utilized just as it's intended to kind of enhance officer safety and safety for other people as we can kind of determine what's happening and find a cautious approach towards it. At the conclusion of that search and looking through the location, we were able to locate one individual who was arrested in regards to what had taken place, and I'll have that name for you at the end when we're done talking. No one else was located in the field, unknown, as it was, again, a pretty dynamic incident that went through a large portion of town in different directions, but we were able to make an arrest on that. And the arrest was for a, first name Justice, Justice, last name Bravehawk, Bravehawk. And Justice was, lodged at jail for several charges, included stolen vehicle, aggravated eluding, aggravated assault on law enforcement, and possession of controlled substance. Again, this incident stretched through a large portion of the city, required cooperation from many of our law enforcement partners, to include the Highway Patrol, Minnehaha County Sheriff's Office, and was brought to a safe resolution without any injuries, despite some of the actions taken by the people involved to put officers and the public at risk. So this is a continuing investigation in regards to other incidents as well. Again, numerous supplemental reports in here, and detectives will be looking into it. But again, a couple stolen vehicles involved in that as well. A good reminder, again, as we mentioned kind of last week in press briefing about securing vehicles and taking your keys, but and not leaving them in the car. But again, great cooperation between law enforcement partners in helping with this incident, and another example of how that UAS or drone really enhances officer and community safety, that we were able to utilize that. Any questions on this particular incident?
Yeah. Did the drone actually find the person in the field?
We were able to use the drone and really eliminate large portions of the field by using that. And there's some technological stuff which actually is, I know, have a little bit of a working knowledge, but not a complete working knowledge. I wasn't out there for that incident that night. But again, it has the ability to really narrow search areas down and really allow us to do a lot of things. Because really what we're looking for is not a surprise confrontation with somebody. We want to be able to really eliminate as much as we can, especially in open fields like that. becomes a useful tool.
Did you guys just deploy the one drone?
I believe in looking through this, we just deployed one that night. Yeah. Again, and we have others, but resources, this took an incredible amount of resources because as this was going on, numerous other incidents were happening through the city. So again, relying on our law enforcement partners, the Highway Patrol and Minnehaha County Sheriff's Office to assist us through some of this stuff was really key.
Do you have a time and kind of location on when he was arrested?
Yep, it was in the area. I'm looking through the reports here, but it looks like that 60th Street North and Bonson area, kind of by the city's water reclamation plant in an open field. Not available in the report. If I remember right, that was somewhere around, I believe, that midnight. I can pull up on the report later and see if I can see where that's at.
It was Friday night, correct?
Yeah, they can fly at night. And there's.
Any idea how many suspects may still be at large?
This is still a pending investigation, and we're still looking deeply into it. As we talked about last week on Friday, it gives us great concern, you know, some of the recent gunshot stuff that's happening in town. And again, it's an ongoing investigation. And if you remember from Friday's press briefing, we had that dark SUV that was mentioned prominently, and we're again looking for links and seeing if this is the one that was involved too. So,
No charges yet as it relates to the shooting?
yeah, those are still under investigation for the Detective Bureau there.
And that black SUV was not found. The Toyota.
Sorry.
crashed.
The black SUV was found abandoned in an apartment complex over there, and then that's what kind of led to that area being searched and scrutinized. And then a new vehicle entered, which we feel had ties, as sometimes people will, you know, ditch an automobile and then have another automobile come pick them up. So there's just kind of a constant cycling things that goes through there. So again, an event this complex has numerous details to it, but that's kind of the synopsis of how that took place.
Any injuries reported? You said the
Nope.
squad car was rammed?
Yep, squad cars rammed. Thankfully, officers were able to kind of foretell that this might, I mean, we're always thinking officers to prepare, be ready, what would happen if this car did this or this, and they were able to just get out of the way as that person made contact. Again, it puts officers in a dangerous situation. We do our best to prepare them to think about the what ifs could happen when we get in these high intensity situations, especially with suspects who have proven to be fairly motivated to not listen to lawful commands and kind of ram their way out of situations. So,
Do you have an estimate on the damages?
not at this point. Not at this point. Yeah.
Do you have an location of where that? No.
In the 3,000 block, roughly, of East 11th Street, I believe is where it was. Yeah, 3,000, 3,100 block East 11th Street.
And they were in the front of the squad car.
Yeah, as I kind of look at it, they were actually maybe behind it because we teach to use cover, you know, when dealing with those types of situations. All right.
Other drugs or weapons found in the vehicle?
There's no weapons were recovered. There was a mention of some, I think some user amount of narcotics was located somewhere during the course of the investigation. So that may have had nothing of substantial note as far as that goes.
You said you guys believe there was 2 people in the SUV?
Yeah, a minimum of 2 as it left that area. Yeah.
We're still looking for those others?
Yep. Still working the case and still, again, looking to see what we can figure out on that. All right.